in Palestine, in the Mandate of Palestine. So they allow the European Zionists to create the infrastructure of a Jewish state, all the while telling the Palestinians themselves, the native population, the majority of the population, don't worry, don't worry, don't worry. And as the Palestinians protested, first through protests, then through letters, through marches, through demonstrations, through riots, through revolution, through any number of means, the British always ignored them or suppressed them, time and again, time and again. So no matter what the Palestinians said or did, the British ignored them. Until eventually the British threw up their hands in 1937 and said, you know what, we can't, there's no solution to this problem that we have created, the British, by privileging European Zionists. Remember, Zionism does not come from the Jewish indigenous communities of Palestine or the Middle East. Zionism emerged in Europe to respond to European problems of anti-Semitism and nationalism. And it's European Zionists who create this idea and fantasize about creating a Jewish state in Palestine, even though they knew when they got to Palestine that it was inhabited, that it was lived in by the natives, by Palestinians. And so the British realized that there's a problem after a major Palestinian revolution in 1936. And they decided to partition Palestine. They say the only solution is partition of Palestine into two states. Nevertheless, the British say very openly, we recognize that dividing Palestine, which is overwhelmingly Arab and overwhelmingly owned by Arabs, we recognize that if we do that, it's going to be unjust to the Palestinians, the Arabs, because it's their land that's being taken away to create a Jewish state. And the British recognize, this is so stunning, Mitch, when you think about it, the British recognize and say this in writing in 1937, as they propose a partition plan known as the Peel Partition Plan. The British say very clearly that we understand that there's no history of anti-Semitism. There's no anti-Jewish sentiment that's indigenous to this region in the sense of, in the way it was in Europe. There's no racial anti-Semitism. I'm paraphrasing. It's not these exact words, but words similar to this. The British are very open. They say, we recognize that there's no history of anti-Semitism in Palestine or in the region, but the Arabs are a generous people. They actually use that phrase, they're generous. And their generosity is going to help us, the Europeans, solve our Jewish problem, the Europeans. And they're going to earn our gratitude, even if it comes at some sacrifice to themselves, to the Arabs. So the Palestinians are going to help us solve our problem at their expense. Honestly, I don't know what you call this. I call that disingenuousness on an epic scale and profound hypocrisy or cognitive dissonance or whatever you want to call it. And the amazing thing is that people on the ground, of course, recognized right away, they saw right through this fraudulent sort of equation, this European Western idea that they're atoning for anti-Semitism at the Palestinians' expense.